Good morning. This is 1 in 36, a presentation from Anderson Center for Autism, celebrating their centennial in 2024. 1 in 36 is a weekly show devoted to autism spectrum disorder.
Good morning and welcome to 1 in 36, the weekly talk show on topics related to autism spectrum disorder. I'm your host, Eliza Bozensky, Chief Development Officer at Anderson Center for Autism. And with me today is Maggie Reilly, who is, you are with TOPSoccer. Are you the founder, the president, the whole shebang?
I'm the director of the program through East Fishkill Soccer Club.
Okay, great. So thank you so much for being on the show, Maggie. We really appreciate it. And we're looking forward to talking about TOPSoccer. But let's start with a little bit of background on you and sort of how you tell as much of the story as you want to, go as far back as you'd like, and bring us to where you are today as director of this program.
Sure. So I am 23. I began running the program when I was 22. So we're about 5 seasons in. And my mom used to run it when I was in high school, and she works as a speech path. So she had a really good opening for players with the need. And I would always volunteer, obviously, because she was my mom. But also I have a cousin on the autism spectrum. So we are very aware of all of their needs that they have, as well as the lack of socialization opportunities that they tend to have. So when my mom started running this, I would volunteer and my cousin would come, and then it kind of opened up, and she had about 8 kids in her program, and it was so much fun. And then when I got older and I had to decide what I wanted to do for the rest of my life, I had no idea. And I kind of picked around with teaching and then special ed teaching. And then I got a job at an ABA clinic, and I love it. And I love the kids. And I realized that there is, again, a lack of opportunity for them to get out and socialize and have fun activities to do and look forward to on a weekend. And so I reached out to East Fishkill Soccer Club again, and I was like, hey, we'd love to restart what my mom used to do. And it took a little while to get that ball, not to get the ball rolling, but to get it all set up and aligned. And here we are. And we started in fall of 2022. I had about 8 players registered, and I probably had about 4 to 5 show up each week, which felt amazing to me at the time. And then in the winter, I had about 10 registered. And then in the spring, I posted it on Facebook, and it took off, and I had about 50 kids registered. So that jump was crazy, obviously. Yeah. And now I'm at about 40, and about 20 show up every week. So it's pretty awesome. That's
amazing. Congratulations. I'm sure your mom, loves that you continued on with what she started. And tell us a little bit, I have a million questions, but let's start with this one. What is the connection and how does it work between the East Fishkill Soccer Club and TOPSoccer? Like, are you renting space, or is there more of a collaboration between them? And is this all indoor, or is there a mixture of indoor and outdoor?
So it's a mixture of indoor and outdoor. In the fall and the spring, we have outdoor space at the East Fishkill Soccer Club on Route 52. And then they find us space for the indoors. So we're directly correlated underneath them. It's just a program under East Fishkill. Okay. But TOPSoccer stands for the Outreach Program of Soccer, is a nationally known organization. So I just happen to run it through East Fishkill. Okay. And so we get funding through East Fishkill Soccer Club and all of that. And I just organize the sessions, getting the kiddos, getting volunteers for the kiddos, because each one has a one-to-one coach. Or I say coach loosely, it's a volunteer. That can be, we look for about 14 and up, but you never know. I have some kids that are 12 who are very mature and are really amazing with the kiddos. So each player gets a one-to-one volunteer. So it could be a kid that plays soccer, somebody whose mom coaches soccer and they just wanted to come over and try it out. And so each week I have to find one to each player, but I get most of them through East Fishkill Soccer Club.
Yeah, I was going to say, what a cool thing to do. And I love that you're seeing an outpouring of interest in that. What's the age range for this program?
2 to 18. So we're pretty wide.
That's fantastic. I love it. Is there kind of a sweet spot that you've experienced where there's the majority of the kids are within a certain age range, or they tend to be more successful at if they start at a certain age, or is it really change every season?
I definitely have a lot of 8-year-olds right now. I don't know what it is. I have so many 8-year-olds, but I also have a pretty good amount of like 12-year-olds. So I have the littler guys that come. To say we play soccer is a stretch. But they definitely get out there and they socialize with kiddos their own age and gives them the opportunity just to run around and for parents to sit on the side knowing that they're okay. They are good to just run around. So that is less soccer and more social and relaxation for mom and dad, but they also have so much fun. I swear I have kids that run 2 miles in an hour. I'm like, where do you get the energy?
Yes, soccer does do that. I know my son's a soccer player, and I can't believe how much they run. But but it is that's wonderful. And you said you get funding from the soccer club, and I wonder if are you or is the TOPSoccer, is it a nonprofit? Do you charge for participation, or is this funded by donations? How does that all work?
So TOPSoccer for players to register is completely free. And then obviously it's volunteer based. So I have to just hope and really sell it to my volunteers, because it can also be kind of scary to say, hey, do you want to come to special needs soccer and help out? Especially for people that don't really know. But I just got a grant through the county. So I just got some money for that. So that's where we're getting some of the money. But East Fishkill Soccer Club eats the cost, I guess you could say, for registration fees. So each player gets insured, but East Fishkill kind of takes on that cost as opposed to the players themselves.
That's great. You know, Anderson is also in Dutchess County, as are you. And I found, ever since I think the Think Differently initiative came out years ago with Mark Molinaro when he was county executive back then, I've really seen so many programs take off that I think otherwise might not be as successful, because the county and our general area in the Hudson Valley, I think, is extraordinarily welcoming and appreciative and acknowledging of everyone in our community, including people with special needs, whether it's autism, which we do a lot of, obviously the main, that's where our work is, but really any type of intellectual or developmental disability. I think that this is really, every day there's another reason why I'm reminded why this is a great place to raise a child who has any type of special need, because first of all, there's a lot going on that is inclusive of everybody. I was just doing an interview with folks from Special Olympics New York, and we're having a very similar conversation about the importance of team experience, recreation experience. You just nailed it. Just exercise in general and physical exhaustion, like that does a lot for children especially, but everyone really. The respite and relaxation that a family can experience when they know that their kid is doing something, and it's okay if they're just rolling the ball around. It's okay if they're just running around having a good time. There is no expectation that they're going to be the next, national soccer star. It's really all about recreation and fun. So I just think that it's a great fit. And I'm pleased to hear that the county was supportive of that program. And also, again, that the soccer club makes it accessible for everybody. It's a shame, I think, when there's opportunity, but some people are still not able to participate because of things like cost.
Absolutely. Yeah. And as well as location, because we welcome anybody. I had pairs in the spring driving an hour to come for an hour of soccer, which was crazy to me. I was like, why would you want to come to East
Fishkill? If it doesn't exist for you.
Yeah.
Well, and one of the things that I think, one of the amazing strengths and signs of resilience of so many families who are raising a child with special needs is that I hear time and again that you just get to the point where you will drive. You would drive 6 hours sometimes for 1 hour of a positive experience. And that is heartbreaking, because it tells you just how many bad experiences that there have been. But also, it's a model for what other people hopefully can be doing with their passions, their experiences, their family backgrounds, to make an impact. Because if we could just even get it to be, a closer opportunity for everybody, then that's a win-win. Tell me about siblings. Do you see siblings of your soccer players volunteering, or do they have the opportunity to play alongside their siblings and kind of have a fun experience that way?
Yeah. So I have a lot of volunteers that are siblings, actually. And so if you're above 18, I do have a background check requirement. So I do have some players with older siblings that fill it out, so they are able to come on the fields and play around with us. But speaking just from my family, I have my cousin who is 11, has 2 younger siblings who are 8 and 10. So they love to get out there and not only help out with their brother, but like they find the younger little ones to be more fun, which is fair. They spend a lot of time with their brother, so I would want to get out there. And they just love to help. And I have plenty of other siblings that tend to get very shy, which is fair because there's a lot going on. But they are welcome to get out there and help out with their sibling and play around. I have players that just hang out on the side with their family, and their volunteer just goes over and hangs out with the family too and sees if we can slowly integrate them onto the field, which is always so heartwarming to see when the first session we have complete refusal. We don't want to get out there, which is totally fine. Play on the side, sit with mom, sit with dad, sit with your siblings. And I'm just like, you guys just hang out, have fun. And then by the end, I have players that are playing in the full scrimmage at the end, having a blast. Like they never even would have looked at mom and dad the whole time. So it's a big mix, but yes, siblings are definitely welcome out there.
Well, the ability to come and go and have that safe feeling is, I think it's tremendous for so many people. We're going to take a quick break, but when we come back, I want to ask you for some more logistics in terms of how people can get more information and continue our conversation. This is Maggie Reilly from TOPSoccer in East Fishkill, New York, and this is 1 in 36, the weekly talk show on topics related to autism spectrum disorder. I'm your host, Eliza Bozensky, and we'll be right back.
Your daughter doesn't want to talk about why her room is a horrible mess. Your son doesn't want to talk about why he's wearing mismatching socks. Your spouse doesn't want to talk about their bad haircut. Families don't have to talk about everything, but they should talk to plan for an emergency. Pack basic supplies in a go bag: water, canned food, flashlights, batteries, medical supplies, IDs, and some cash. Talk about where you'll meet in case you lose one another. And of course, don't forget to pack the dog treats. Talk to your family and make an emergency plan. Go to nyc.gov/readyny or call 311 to make your family's emergency plan. Brought to you by New York City Emergency Management and the Ad Council.
You saved my life. You held my hand when I was scared. You helped me say goodbye to my dad. You were an example for me. You gave me strength when I thought I had none left. I couldn't tell you then, but I want to say thank you, all of you, for everything. Thank you to the physicians, nurses, and others working in America's hospitals and health systems. A message from the American Hospital Association, American Medical Association, and American Nurses Association.
If I could be you,
and you could be me,
for just 1 hour.
If you could find a way
to get inside
each other's mind.
Walk a mile in my shoes.
Walk a mile in my shoes.
Walk a mile in my shoes.
We've all felt left out. And for some, that feeling lasts more than a moment. We can change that. Learn how at belongingbeginswithus.org. Brought to you by the Ad Council.
Walk a mile in my shoes.
It's been said that when someone you love has Parkinson's, you have Parkinson's. The Parkinson's Foundation knows that the disease doesn't just affect the diagnosed. It affects everyone who supports and helps care for them.
If you or someone you know is living with Parkinson's, a neurological disease that affects movement, we understand that it can be difficult to know where to find help.
If you have questions, the Parkinson's Foundation has answers. Answers for everyone in the fight.
We can help you understand the disease,
help you find expert care and local support,
give you tips for living a better life,
and share the latest research.
Find your answers and join us in the fight against Parkinson's.
To learn more, please go to parkinson.org
or call 1-800-473-4636.
That's 1-800-473-4636. The Parkinson's Foundation. Better lives together.
Somewhere there's a river rushing through the woods while someone rushes through their day. There's a mountain looking up at the sky while someone looks down at their phone. A trail waiting to be walked while someone waits for a latte. This world is full of somewheres waiting for someone just like you. So go see yours at 154 national forests and 20 grasslands. And to learn more, visit nationalforests.org. the National Forest Foundation. See yours somewhere.
And now, 1 in 36 continues on 100.7 WHUD. This is a weekly community affairs program presented by the Anderson Center for Autism.
Welcome back to 1 in 36, the weekly talk show on topics related to autism spectrum disorder. I'm your host, Eliza Bozensky, and I'm talking today with Maggie Reilly, who is the director of the TOPSoccer program at the East Fishkill Soccer Club, and that's in New York. And Maggie, before we jump in, because I had a comment based on the last thing you were saying, where do people go for more information about your program, how to register, how to get involved, how to just find out more?
Yeah. So East Fishkill Soccer Club's website is efsc.net. And if you go under their programs tab, you will see TOPS as a choice. You can go under there for volunteer information as well as registration information, or you can reach right out to my email. I'm happy to help and send links over because it can get a little confusing. That is topsdirector@efsc.net.
efsc.net. All right. So I'm going to repeat that. So it's EFSC, because that would make sense. East Fishkill Soccer Club. All right. EFSC.net. For more information, look for TOPS, which is a choice on the menu, or reach out to Maggie directly at topsdirector@efsc.net. Yes. I'll repeat that again at the end of the show. And then when we post it, we'll put that information in so people can get more info as well.
Amazing.
So what you were describing at the end of the first half there, in terms of what goes on in a typical session, hour-long session, is you've got sort of kids participating in the drills, sort of coming and going. If they need a little break, they go sit with their families. Siblings can involve themselves in whatever capacity. Obviously, over 18, there's a background check, which is a little bit more formal, but for the younger kids, not as necessary. And then you've got your one-to-ones. That's an important one, I think, for a lot of families. The idea that every student, every participant has one person who's working with them and kind of near them and maybe working side by side on those drills and the scrimmages. That does make for a lot of people on the field, but
yes, it can get crowded, but
I think it sounds like it's a safety component, but also one thing at Anderson that I've learned having been there for so long is that, and you obviously take this, I'm sure, from your ABA background, is you want to strike that balance of not having so many prompts that the students or the players become prompt dependent, meaning they won't do anything unless they're kind of told what to do. But you also need to strike that perfect balance where you're setting them up for success that feels very natural and meaningful and organic, so that it's not like placating. So it's not too hard, not too easy. And I think one-to-ones probably, is that a primary role that they play in sort of, when to encourage somebody to kind of take the initiative and when to really show more support? Is that a constant thing that the one-to-ones are doing?
Yes. So when one-to-ones get there, I always do my best to say, you absolutely do not have to be on top of them like white on rice. We're very open. There's plenty of people. We're not going to lose anybody. But also just engage with them. They just want to be talked to. They just want to be hung out with. And I always try and pair, if I have a new one-to-one, I always say bring a friend. Have multiple people that you already know on the field, because it's more fun that way too. You can put your players together. Sometimes it'll be a 2-to-1 and I have 2 volunteers to 1 player. And then it can be a whole conversation, especially for my older guys. They just want to be chatted with. Not even just playing soccer, but they just want to chat about typical stuff. I don't like the word typical, but you know what I mean? What's going on at school? How's this going? Have you ever played soccer before? All that kind of stuff. So I always do my best to pre-warn my volunteers, just get out there and have fun, And sometimes it can get a little hectic when I have 4 high school boys on one 12-year-old player, but everyone always has a smile, and that's what I tend to look for while I'm running around with a chicken with my head cut off, because is everyone having fun? Is everyone happy? Are we doing what we need to do? So absolutely.
Yeah, it sounds great. It reminds me that the phrase that came to mind, which has come to mind frequently recently on this podcast, is a community center. I talked to somebody who was running library programs, and it just made me think of when I was growing up. That's what we did at the community center. It was just, it goes beyond the specific thing that happens at on a regular basis on a soccer field, which is a soccer game or a soccer practice. You're creating an opportunity for that. Plus the community vibe, the fact that parents are more than likely meeting other parents sitting on the sidelines or watching the scrimmages at the end of the game, which for a lot of families, that's very difficult. You're offering an alternative to sort of isolation, being at home, or another theme that I hear from families a lot, which is I have to do it if I want my child to participate. I have to suddenly learn how to be a soccer coach. You're offering that as an alternative, which also has the social component. And the reason I honestly asked about siblings is because we have a number of siblings at Anderson who've very bravely and honestly expressed on occasion just how challenging it can be to sort of have friends and have a social life and have a sibling on the autism spectrum and sort of manage all of that as a really young person. So here you are again, offering that community center. I love that you encourage people to bring their friends, because instead of making it this super strict, you have to be here and it's a job. No, it's an experience. And if it's going to be easier and maybe enhance the program to bring a friend with you, then go ahead and do it. So yeah. I love that. I would love to also, we're almost out of time, but I just had a question about, like, as you've embarked on this, and you said that you have a job that you love in an ABA clinic, which for those of you who may not know, ABA is applied behavior analysis. It's really the gold standard for really sort of instructional and skill development work with people with autism and other neurodivergencies. Do the two enhance each other for you? Do you pull things from your experience on the soccer field into your work and sort of vice versa?
Yes, I think that between the background of growing up with my cousin who has autism, as well as spending 40 hours a week, it can be a lot, definitely, because Friday nights right now I go straight from work over to soccer to go play. So I think that brings the fun back into it too sometimes. I don't know if I always have fun at work, but also like being able to go and just run around and kind of be like the super, super fun one. Like, because I don't always have a buddy also. So I get to get out there and just kind of run up to kiddos and be like, hey, I saw you last week. How are you doing? And like seeing parents. But I definitely think that having the background has been very helpful in sessions. Because we do have kiddos we have upticks sometimes. We have some escalation, and it can be easy to bring them down and get them moving through. At a quicker pace. Because, buddies, sometimes a kid yells and it's like, whoa, like the volunteer. So it's good to run over, get us moving, and back to soccer or back to whatever we're doing.
Yeah. Because you're recognizing that there's an underlying reason why that's happening, as opposed to this is just disruptive or it's scaring me. It's a communication of some kind, which is probably a big part of your training at the clinic. And then I think I totally agree with you. I think you're also you and this program and all the volunteers that you have with you are doing something also on a much larger scale than maybe you even realize. But there's really a national movement happening right now that is I see it because I get to talk to a lot of the people who are involved in it. Anderson's consulting team is involved in a lot of it, but there's a lot of, additional people and programs doing this where there's a focus on not just accessibility, but sort of beyond that of sustainability, being able to start something and stay in it instead of I'm overloaded, sensory overload. Now my parent or my caregiver I have to leave. I have to leave the whole experience so that everybody else can continue with their experience. And you're, from what you're describing, you're part of that because you're creating an environment where somebody can start to vocalize loudly or maybe is having an escalation in behaviors. And there are ways to be able to help that person address them and sort of self-soothe or do some relaxation techniques. And all of a sudden they're right back in it. They never even had to leave the field. Or maybe if they had to leave the field, it just is like anybody who needs to take a break for water, for rest, to catch their breath. Well, this athlete, needed to take a break just to sort of decrease some sensitivity overload and then get right back into it. And I think there's been so much progress in that area. But every new thing helps. And especially when it comes to recreation and athletics and socialization, because I think those are the things that have been significantly marginalized for people with special needs and with autism over the years, because the focus has been on instruction and skill development and communication, all important, but not at the risk of not also focusing on these quality of life aspects that are so important. So we're pretty much out of time. Maggie, is there anything new that you want to say that's coming up or things that you want to make sure the listeners hear before we end?
Yeah. We are almost done with our winter season. We'll be over in March. Your registration is always open, so please feel free to reach out. We are happy to throw you into our winter sessions, which is on Friday nights, which is tough, but our outdoor sessions are always on Saturdays. The time varies. It'll be the same each season, but be a season, the time will be different. So I don't know what time it'll be in the spring coming up, but I will let everyone know as soon as I do.
All right. As a reminder, for more information, you can visit efsc.net and look for TOPSoccer as one of the choices, or you can email Maggie directly at topsdirector@efsc.net. Maggie, thank you so much for telling us about TOPSoccer and your program and your background, and I think it's great, and I wish you all the best of luck.
Thank you so much. I really appreciate it.
This is 1 in 36, the weekly talk show on topics related to autism spectrum disorder. I'm your host, Eliza Bozensky, and remember, Anderson cares.
You've been listening to 1 in 36, a weekly presentation from Anderson Center for Autism, celebrating their centennial in 2024. Join them for another edition of the show next weekend.